profiling the businesses, organizations, and people that make Trenton better.
Hello, friend, and welcome to the Trenton 365 show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You're watching over WPHY Channel 25, listening over WIMG 1300, and you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Trenton 365. So, in the studio with me is my friend John Marks, John is one of the bartenders, but one of the young people that I always encourage to come out and get involved in the community. He works at Champs, which several of you have heard me talk about Champs, which is not only a bar, but it's also a community center where I get a chance to do lots of different things for the community, such as library boxes at Trenton, having live shows, art events, etc. And now we've got a new initiative that's going to be taking place, hopefully in 2017. And John is one of the people who are part of the committee and one of the lead advocates for this. And we're going to be talking about skateboarding and the skateboard culture. So in the studio with me is John Marks, a.k.a. Skateboard Jesus.
How you doing, Jacque?
I'm doing well, John.
Great.
So it's nice to finally get you in here.
Sure, yeah.
But let's get started first and have you talk a little bit about your background and what brought you to Trenton.
Right. Okay, well, I'm John Marks. I'm a little bit older than your average skateboarder. I'm 32 years old. I've been skating for, I guess, probably the better part of almost 3 decades now. Started when I was young, and skateboarding was something that, growing up, it always kept me out of trouble, always kept me in different adventures, kept me connected with like an alternative lifestyle that's out there, something positive. And having moved to Trenton and seeing the lack of that here, we saw like a clear need of something that was really easy to bring to the people here without a lot of effort. And so over the last, I'd say, probably about 4 years now, we've been working on this idea of this capital city skate park where we have like an all-inclusive welcome to the city, welcome to the skateboarding. It's a unique place in the city because everything's so close, yet you have no natural atmosphere to skate and to feel like you're welcome to do it. So it's something that we really want to bring to the kids here, something that we really, really want to encourage because it would be something so positive for the city, and people are very hungry for it. And my background in it is that we've been consistently giving charity donations to kids in our local neighborhood areas, teaching them to ride, furbishing skateboards for them, refurbishing them when they break them and bring them back to me. And that's based out of Champs, my house, the Boys and Girls Club. Wills Kinsley has a lot to do with that on the BMX side. My boy Jeff Jafowski, he does his own local thing when he's riding around helping the kids. So they really want it, and it's just underrepresented. And I think a lot of it comes down to people don't know who to turn to. So we've ended up with this reverse grassroots movement where now what we've come into is there's people in a position of power taking notice of it and taking notice of the fact that we've been doing it so long without any help, that clearly there's something there, clearly there's something tangible that we all want to approach in a fashion that doesn't disappoint, that doesn't fall short of what it could be here. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the unique positions that we're in, is to finally deliver for them, because we've tried it so many different ways and so many different times. And, failure builds excellence in the next attempt. So that's what we've done. We've built it up, and we've, had it torn down so many times that now we're in a position to where it's legitimized. Mm-hmm. We've put in the work, and we're very close to being able to pull something off, I think.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, John, you say you've been skateboarding mm-hmm. for better part of 3 decades.
Yeah.
So what was your first introduction to skateboarding, and what made it take a hold of you, and what made it get into your soul?
I think that it was just finding a skateboard, actually. Just finding a skateboard in one of my friend's garages. I had never really paid attention to trying to do anything with them. It's just 4 wheels and a board. But once I got on it, it just felt like the most natural thing in the world. And it gave me the ability to be more than I was. And what I mean by that is that regardless of what your home life is or where you're from in your particular area of the world, you can always go somewhere else. You can always put your wheels down and find something new. And I think that's the amazing thing about skateboarding that always kept me in it, is that no matter what you're doing or no matter who you think you are at the time, you can always get back on your skateboard and go somewhere else, be somewhere else, or, try to find out more of who you are, because it's more so a form of expression than it is an actual sport, in my opinion, anyway. You know, because it's a vehicle.
Yeah, we're gonna drill down on that, because I think that's critical, especially in an area, an urban environment where, you know, sometimes money can be challenging, and, you know, we're going to talk a lot about the individual aspect of skateboarding and how that like lends itself to where we are right now in Trenton. But so skateboarding was almost like a freedom for you, almost like some people who have their bicycles, or if they go out and go for a run. Skateboarding did that for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's engineered to be that way, because there's no set rules. There's no you can or can't do this. There's only where you can't go. That's the only thing that skateboarding has that tells you what you can't do. And it's not so much skateboarding, it's just the world we live in. You know, you can't ride everywhere that you want to. And especially, you know, coming back to Trenton, that's what we have, but we need more of. You know, there are places to ride, but there's space that could be utilized to be exclusively for riding and still maintain that sense of freedom, like you said. You know, because it's very easy at my age now to be as free as I want to be on a skateboard. But when you're younger, you're searching. You're searching for those places that you can be free. So, you know, it would be amazing to create those kind of things here for them, because every time you step outside, you can get on your skateboard and you can go somewhere else. You can be something new. You can see something fresh, and your perspectives may always change every single time you're on it. You know, even with the way that you ride, it's very unique, it's very individual, but there is a community inside of it, you know, and we find each other everywhere we go. So eventually you ride long enough, you're going to find other riders, you're going to find that you're part of something bigger that you never realized. And that's another beautiful aspect to that freedom, is that you're part of a collective that you don't even know yet, and you just keep finding each other, you know. It's beautiful.
So let's go back and talk a bit about your youth and when you first got introduced to skateboarding, and you started to understand it. Just like anything else, you know, you see it on television or in magazines, and you see these outlandish or amazing tricks that are being done. And of course, that takes time. It takes practice. It's a lot of trial and error, a lot of failure, etc. Talk about how you encountered the skateboarding culture as a young person.
I mean, honestly, like when my real passion for it started developing, it wasn't something that was cool. It wasn't something that was really acceptable. It was definitely an outcast activity. You were looking at a lot of skate companies were going under, you know, in the early 90s, I guess would be the best way to describe it. There was a core of older skateboarders, and, you know, skateboarding kind of just kept to itself as far as in the public eye. You know, growing up, it was all the cool kids skated, but they weren't really cool. And then if you wanted to do it, you weren't really cool either. So there wasn't any unity in it, because it was again, it was an outsider activity as opposed to playing football or something like that. It was very exclusionary, and so for me, it was just kind of being disengaged from all of that. So I was just trying to teach myself how to skateboard, and eventually, like I said, that culture found me. You would run into the other kid like, hey, I saw you skate. Yeah, I do. Well, hey, want to go skate after school? Yes, I do. And then it goes from there, and then you've got 2 kids, 4 kids, 8 kids, and then you've got your whole crew eventually. But in the beginning, it's you know, it's that weird thing that people don't understand. You know, why do you have a skateboard? Why do you look that way? Why do you try to do tricks off stairs? Why do you come to school bloody? You know, stuff like that. And it's just because you love it, because it's something that's, again, it's individual, it's for you, it's unique. It's like an art form. You know?
And I like that you put it that way, as an art form, because I think that's probably what attracted me to the culture of skateboarding, is that there is a lot of creativity that's involved in it, not only from the actual tricks that are performed and the stunts, etc., the technique involved in riding, but also in the manufacturing of the board, the artwork that goes onto the boards, the different compositions of the wheels and the trucks, etc. And then that transitions right into the individuals who are doing it. And like you said, I mean, you can get a whole culture of people who are into skateboarding, and they're way more inclusive than some other team sports. And that's something else that right now, for whatever reason in my life, I'm extremely attracted to the idea of people who are willing to accept people who may not look like them, may not speak the same language, but we've got this commonality.
Right.
And it's skateboarding or whatever it is. So the culture of skateboarding, talk about how inclusive it is.
I mean, it's inclusive in the sense of, you can be any nationality, you can be any religion, you can have whatever your backstory is, and within our culture, I'll just say our culture, including you, anyone that wants to be part of it can be. It's not a thing where you would show up and get kicked out of whatever, get kicked out of your spot, or you have to share court time like you would with like a team sport, or there's certain facilities that are set up for certain things that you can't use on certain days. We just work around all that. It's what do you have in front of you, and what are you trying to do that day, or why not link up? Why not feed off the energy of other people? Because just because you like one certain kind of skating, you may ride with someone else. It may change your whole perspective on what you see within the things that you do. There are people that like an older style of skateboarding on ramps and do tricks with their hands, and there's street guys. There's technical ones that like to do balance-based tricks versus flip tricks versus ridiculous stunts. It varies.
So I'd like you to stop there because I want you to help educate me on this too. And you just said some things that I could tell if I saw them, but it didn't really make sense.
Sure.
So can you just break down the different things that are going on in skateboarding? Because I know, like me personally, I'm interested for whatever reason in the longboards. The longboards to me are awesome.
Well,
but
that's like a surfer aesthetic,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just talk about some of the different.
Well, you have like
segments.
you got your longboard skaters. You've got your street skaters, which is like a more modern style you see with the double kick tails and things like that. You've got your old school riders who use a more wide, more traditional style skateboard. It's kind of a situation where all disciplines are represented in their own right within skateboarding. So no one's ever wrong, or no one's ever not progressing the sport, I guess is what it is. It's always evolving from multifaceted areas. Like you can have a guy that likes to ride a longboard, like you said, but that guy may also figure out something within his own aesthetic that may lend him to be able to street skate. You never know where it's going to take you, because you never know what your mind's going to want to get you into that day. You may want to learn some tricks. You may just want to bomb hills. It's whatever you want to do. And again, that's the beautiful thing about it, is that like longboards, I know plenty of people that longboard. I know plenty of people that street skate. I know guys that like nothing but ramps. But those people will all get together if we're just going to go ride, and it doesn't matter. You can skate a curb and be just as happy as jumping down a 10-stair rail. It's all about the feeling that you're going to get.
That's pretty awesome. And again, I mean, you just qualified, what I was saying.
Right.
It's very inclusive. And again, hey, longboard, shortboard, old style,
doesn't matter.
Flip tricks, hand tricks, balance work, whatever it is, you're able to ride with others.
Yeah, and anyone can skate. And that's the thing, is that people think that they don't need to be involved, or don't have what it takes to participate. Like, oh man, I wish I could skate, or oh, that's cool, but I don't skateboard anymore. Anyone can ride. You just have to put the wheels on the ground. As long as you can balance, it's what you want to get out of it. There's no pressure to be better than anyone else, or to try to be something that you think people want you to be.
That's interesting. And again, that's one of the things that really attracts me to the culture of skateboarding itself, is the fact that you are an individual, but you're part of a bigger crew, a bigger crowd. So for the person who has a child who is into skateboarding, and I'll say hypothetically myself, married, got a 13-year-old, she's definitely into like a bit of the more alternative sports as opposed to traditional sports, although she plays basketball and stuff. But it wouldn't surprise me if she said, hey, I want to start riding a skateboard.
Right.
Now, I think for most parents, like you'd say, okay, well, why?
Right.
Why do you want to ride a skateboard as opposed to join a soccer team or something like that? What would you like to say to those parents?
I mean, I think what it is the question that you asked me is probably what you would ask them. Is like, what is it that makes you want to do that? Because it's like wanting a skateboard and just wanting to kick around on it is, that's fine. But someone who really wants to skateboard, I think, is just showing that they want something different, is that they need something more challenging or more creative And like you said, like basketball's fine, and football, all those are great. You know, the intermediate activities, like after school activities, whatever it is that keeps you active and keeps you moving around when you're young, it's great. You know, and team sports will teach you how to work within a group, and that's awesome. But I think that especially in our times now, kids need more mentally. They need more mental stimulation. They need to be challenged in a way that makes them feel like they don't have to necessarily conform to a normal way of life. You know, not everyone wants to be a trophy holder. You know, some people just like to play sports for the fun of it. It eliminates a lot of competition as far as competing against other people and the whole self-esteem issues that we have a lot of days. It's, you know, it's okay to just want to do different activities. And I think that what I would, again, convey to those parents is, you know, support that. Definitely support it. You know, don't let your kid fly down a highway, you know, on a skateboard. Don't let them go too far, but, you know, take them out to a park, you know, spend that 50 minutes, take them out to a park, see what it's about. You'd be surprised, you know, and the other side of it is you never know what kind of mentors or what kind of positive influence they could gain from just being around, or maybe having someone older teach them how to do a trick. You know, it's it means the world when you're younger to have someone take notice of you doing something different and supporting that. You know, so I think it would be great for parents to support that with their kids.
Now, most people don't understand how difficult it is and how athletic you have to be to perform a lot of the stunts and the tricks that are done on skateboards. And not even just the simple fact of being able to get on it and to roll.
Right.
It's not something that you can just naturally, most people can't naturally just grab it and do it because there's so many other factors. Can you just talk about the athleticism of skateboarding?
Sure. It's like I said before. I mean, I believe that anyone can skateboard, but you know, if you're doing tricks or you're trying to do stunts or you're trying to learn whatever your version of skateboarding is, it's about commitment, and it's about, you know, not being afraid to fail. Most tricks that you try on a skateboard, you'll never land as far as consistently. You know, you're not going to do like 10 out of 10 going straight down a rail or straight up a ramp or anything like that. You're not going to be able to do that. So it teaches you how to persevere, I think is one of the most important things that I learned through skateboarding, is that you have to be super athletic, but only in the sense of how you like to ride. You know, you don't necessarily have to be completely jacked up and ready to go and flying 16 feet in the air. You can be a little kid and be good at it. It's just all about learning the mechanics and the physics behind it, and then you build your body up based on that. And when you're on a skateboard all the time, you really don't even notice how athletic you will become. It's very similar to like soccer. You know, you do a constant level of activity, and then that just becomes your standard bar for what your body's used to. So, you know, you might find yourself skating 10 miles in a day like it's nothing, and then you see somebody else who, you know, doesn't want to run 100 yards. And it's strange to see that, especially with kids. You know, they're so high energy, and they can bounce back so quickly. It's like skateboarding is like nothing to them today. It's insane seeing some of these younger kids and what they can do, and, you know, they're 10. It's insane. But then you become an old guy like me, and you're lucky that you were that athletic, so you don't fall apart when you still want to ride now. So it builds a tremendous amount of you know, perseverance and commitment, and like you said, athleticism. I think it just helps fortify people in accepting themselves and being willing to go out of their way to accept other people and find other people. And when you get that activity involved with it, you know, it's better for everyone. Especially, you know, you hear a lot of complaints about people not being active enough. There you go. There's your solution, man. You can jump out anytime you want, ride on a skateboard, and you know, you don't even have to think about it. It doesn't become a monotonous chore. You're not running in a circle. You're just doing whatever you feel like on your skateboard.
You know, I want to shift a little bit, and I want to stimulate the listening and viewing audience about the skating scene here in Trenton.
Sure.
You know, because I was chatting with someone who heard the concept and said, okay, yeah, you know, Jacque, I think it'd be great, something for the kids to do, but why a skate park?
Right.
And I told him, I said, you know, I broke it down from my perspective and told him that, hey, I didn't ride skateboards. I was a BMX guy. But I always appreciated the culture, number one. Two, it was an individual sport. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It requires a lot of athleticism and stamina and that perseverance mentality. Because like you said, you may try a trick multiple times and only nail it once. So now you've got to be consistent and you got to be persistent. And that teaches a lot culturally and for the development of young people as you move forward. So talk about skating here in Trenton, the culture in Trenton itself.
Skating here in Trenton is, I mean, honestly, it's very similar to just Trenton as a city. It's a tough place, you know. Trenton's a tough place. Skateboarding is a tough sport. Trenton has a lot of shortcomings, but it also has a lot of beauty to it, very similar to skateboarding. So if I can sum up what our culture here as far as skateboarding would be, is that it's what we're making it now. It's at the point where this is, you know, it's just in the phase where it's becoming a thing. Because Trenton in the past has just been kind of an iconic city for a lot of different skate videos that you would see, but it doesn't get any representation for it. So I think that, like, our culture is very low-key. It's very, you're not going to see it all the time. But you do see an increased demand to have it around. And you see kids continuing to start riding, continuing to start becoming skateboarders themselves. And then they follow us around, like, when we're skating, because it'll be, you know, one or two of us, because, again, we're older guys, and we go to the places that we go, but we'll stop and we'll skate with them. And that's a big part of our culture here that may not necessarily exist in other places. Is we're not the ones that are gonna create a negative viewpoint, like the cool kid viewpoint of, like, oh no, you're just a kid, or oh no, they're not good enough to ride with us or be part of it. Not true for here in Trenton. It's you know, come one, come all. Here's a skateboard that may or may not be good. We want to give this to you, you know, and be part of it. And that's the biggest thing about Trenton skateboarding, is that we want people to be part of it, and we want people to see that there's a beauty to this place that just needs to be tapped into a little bit more for what we're trying to leave behind and what we're into. That's
awesome. John, what's the contact information?
Our contact information, you can reach us on Instagram at Capital City Skate Park. The email is going to be scumcityskates@gmail.com. That's actually my personal email that we use to further everything through the skate park that we're working on and all that. So that's the easiest way to reach out to me. Championships Bar, obviously, like, you can catch any of us in there doing our daily activities with all this stuff. And that's pretty much it, man. The easiest contact is be out in the streets and see us.
Fantastic. John, we'll be back after a short break. Folks, you're listening and watching the Trenton 365 show. I'm Jacque Howard. I'm with John Marks, Capital City Skate Park. We'll be back after a short break.
Closest you will ever come to living dinosaurs. Jurassic World, the exhibition. Now open at the Franklin Institute. Tickets at fi.edu. And remember, if something chases you, run.
Woo! Big Mac Jr., Grand Mac 2. That's 3 Mac sizes made just for you. So no matter where you might be at, there's a Big Mac for that. Big Mac for that. Lunchtime already? Today's extraordinary. Juicy, cheesy, iconic Big Mac burger. Now in 3 sizes. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Greatness comes in all sizes. Right now, try the Mac Jr. for $2, the Big Mac for $4, or the Grand Mac for only $5. Prices and participation may vary.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Do you have a long-distance relationship with breakfast? Does your morning commute take you farther away from the crispy hash browns and freshly brewed coffee you love? Do you tell yourself you're too busy? You just don't have time for sizzling sausage and fluffy eggs. Don't settle for missing breakfast. Let McDonald's close the distance between you and the most important meal of your day.
Come together with all your breakfast favorites in the bold flavor of McCafe coffee. Right now, get any size coffee for $1. Prices and participation may vary.
Grandma, can you come out and play?
Sure, Ellie.
Oh, my. You might want to come here and help Grandma.
What's the matter, Grandma? Can't you stand?
Oh, sorry, honey. It's my knees. They don't work the way they used to.
Does this ever happen to you? Are you on Medicare? You may qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Call the Health Hotline to see if you qualify. Our friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. We also have braces for your shoulder, ankle, or back pain. And if you're covered by Medicare, you may qualify for free delivery.
Grandma, slow down. I can't keep up.
Maybe you can use a knee brace too, Ellie. Catch me if you can, kiddo.
Call now to get your pain-relieving knee brace. 800-296-1261. 800-296-1261. 800-296-1261. That's 800-296-1261.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids, healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united.
Donate, donate.
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Trenton 365 Show. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. You can send me an email, trenton365show@gmail.com. Website is trenton365.com. Facebook, Trenton365 Show, and Twitter @Trenton365. In the studio with me is John Marks. John Marks is one of the people on the committee to have a skate park built here in Trenton, New Jersey. And you can reach him at scumcityskates@gmail.com, spelled just like it sounds, scumcityskates@gmail.com. And the Instagram page is Capital City Skate Park. And then we also have a Facebook page where we kind of tie everything in that's dealing with anything with wheels that are human powered. Bikes, roller skates, rollerblades, skateboarding. And that's Capital City Rollers, Trenton, New Jersey, and you can find that on Facebook as well. So just before the break, John, we were talking a bit about how you got involved in skateboarding and what it's meant to you, and then talking about the culture of skateboarding in general, and then here in Trenton. Let's go back and just talk a little bit about how you see that evolving, like throughout the country. I know you're originally from Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's where, you cut your teeth skating and stuff, and now you're here in New Jersey.
My face a lot, too.
So just talk about how you see skateboarding evolving over the years, the 3 decades that you've been skating.
Well, I see it evolving into something that's, again, I hate to overuse the word culture as much as we are, but that's what it is. It's becoming a full force culture. It's not going anywhere at all. And it seems absurd to say that now in this day and age, and everyone's like, oh yeah, skateboarding's everywhere. You've got the X Games, you've got, the Mountain Dew extreme events and all these other things. But it didn't used to be that way. It was really hard to run skate companies. A lot of them died back in the day. Just wasn't the right kind of money in it. Now you have enough mainstream representation with enough underground representation. So the two halves are meeting, the yin and the yang of having it all, if you will. It's starting to become more prevalent, and there's not a divide between aesthetics anymore. There's not, oh, you're on a longboard, that's not cool because I do this, or oh, I'm jumping off a ramp so I don't skate rails and that's not cool. And there's not the being older versus being younger, and that's not okay as well. It's becoming this all-inclusive powerhouse where all disciplines are represented, all genders, ages, walks of life. There's not the rich kid, poor kid kind of divide that you would see in the past with other things. It's kind of an evolution into a perfect culture in my mind. It's so accessible, and it's so available for anyone to make it what they want it to be. It's kind of open season on creativity. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think skateboarding is becoming now, is that it's the kids picking picking it up now are seeing what's already been done and realizing how much more they can do with it. And that's where I think that we're at now is this new generation of kids coming up are going to be the ones when we leave these things behind former when we're older, they're gonna change everything. You know, it's going to be some kind of hybrid sport that I've never seen before, but it's on its way. You know, it's becoming. And just like every 10 years, you know, you get something new in any sport. It's the same for us. You know, and it's a beautiful thing, and I can't wait till, you know, I see the next thing.
You know, it's interesting that you talk about it being mainstream. Excuse me, because I think a lot of people sometimes don't think about things like that. They just think if it's not in my sphere of influence, then it's not as popular.
Yeah.
But you know, you think about some of the major sporting companies and their affiliations in some capacity with skating. I mean, you've got Vans, of course, which is one of the big ones, and then DC. But Nike's also involved in skateboarding. Adidas is involved in skateboarding. And so when you start thinking about the marketplace and you say, well, if Nike and Adidas and Vans and DC, if they're all involved in this, there must be a reason behind it. And they understand that this is a global marketplace.
Yeah.
So literally skateboarding is happening all over the world?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you'll find more often than not skateboarding is based worldwide more so than it is regionally. South America is extremely heavy into it. China is becoming very heavy into it. Japan has always had a huge impact on skateboarding. Canada, I mean, basically every country where you have the ability to have a flat space or not that you can ride on, you can skate there. And it's been proven time and time and time again. But like you said, companies like Nike that own everything in the world, they do push it and they do support it for what it's worth. You know, it's an uneasy truce, you know, being that skateboarders are traditionally anti-conglomerate and that kind of thing. But it's the necessary evil you have to have, because if you want to do great things, you have to, at some point, you know, not necessarily a handout, but take the lead on controlling your legacy. And so when you have people optioning off either the culture or, you know, shoes or boards or what have you, as long as the quality is ensured, you know, we will sign on with it. You know, it's one of those things where it's not as hard as you think to integrate both things. You can have your marketplace and you can have your free spirit, but it's so you can ensure the continuation of it. You know, nothing's free. So you got to have somebody there signing the bills so we can all, you know, do this great DIY type stuff that we do out here. It still has to start somewhere. You still have to get your materials. You still have to get your equipment. You still have to buy a board. These are all things that are real, but it doesn't mean that you have to do it in a way that gives you a subpar product or puts you in a place to not be in control or to not be comfortable with what you represent. You know, that's a bigger part of